Well, Chester Burrows.
Thank you, Mr Chair. It's a pleasure to be able to rise and speak in this estimates debate. Looking forward to the work that the Justice and Electoral Committee will be travelling through in the next 12 months. Some of the bigger chunks of work have already been outlined by the Minister, and I'm pleased to note that the response of this Minister to questions that are raised in the public has been to consider those comments that have been made and to review the legislation governing those areas or situations, and then to make a response. And it's interesting to note that where that has happened, there has frequently been a response that's been positive right across the House. So although there have been some commentators that have talked about some responses that have been knee-jerk or off the cuff or in response to matters that have traversed through the courts, I don't think that one can fairly reflect that. In fact, if we look, for instance, at the Drivers of Crime conference that was held last year, and the response to that, and the way that upcoming legislation has been responding to those matters that were thrown up, I think you'd have to go quite a long way to see a Minister of Justice who has actually responded in such a preemptive way in the past. The Search and Surveillance Act, which is travelling through the committee stages at the moment, is another indication where, in response to some concerns that have been raised through the sector and from the public, that has been put on hold for some time while some investigations have been made in order to work through some concerns, and we will very soon be able to go back to submitters and be able to ask them to respond again in writing once they have seen the way that the government wishes to respond to the matters that were raised. And of course we have the sale of liquor bill currently before the committee too, and that has been put on hold while we've seen the response of the Law Commission, their report, and then seen the public's response to that, and we await eagerly the government's response to those points that have been made. Interesting to note that the public have relished the opportunity to have input in this particular issue. There have been over 3,000 submissions to the Law Commission in respect of their discussion paper, and you'd have to wonder, I guess, as members of the Justice Electoral Committee, why those 3,000 people wouldn't then go on and make submissions to the committee. So that'll be a lot of fun. We look forward to engaging with them. The Criminal Procedure Simplification Project is one which is going to be quite unusual as far as the way that New Zealand has dealt with those matters that come before the court and procedural matters, and the ability to be able to speed up the court process. It'll be interesting to see what response the public has to that, but as I understand it, a number of those people operating within the sector see that what indications have been given so far are going to be quite well received. So it's a great time for our committee to be working within the justice sector. It's great to be able to turn back over 18 months and have a look at what has progressed through the committee, largely with quite a large amount of support from parties across the House, and I want to thank those committees for that help, for the Minister for the aspirations he has for the justice system within New Zealand in the future, and look forward to the challenges of the year ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.